Test. 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 Test, test, test. Test, 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 test. Test. Is this microphone good? Is this microphone clear? Is this microphone clear? Very simple. For weakness of the League of Nations, you see the model essay here. Basically, there's only three. There is three, you must know all three. So when you write your essay, I want to see clarity. Okay, this structure won't be given for you, but I want to see clarity. Actually, you only need to know one thing, and after that you can slowly explain based on your logic. Okay, so if I can summarize this whole part here, right, I will just this is how you should think when you do the exam. Okay, look at the question, TOV, then the other word is, the topic for this chapter is not TOV, LN. The topic is failure. So this is your outcome, right? Think about the outcome. Okay, which is failure. Oh, I cannot see. This is what you need to think about. So claim, make it very simple. So structural weakness is one of the reasons why this LN led to failure. Okay, once you have your main reason, which is structural weakness, then you just need to elaborate a bit about what is the structural weakness. Okay, which the main things you need to know is General Assembly is 2/3 majority to have votes, and then you also need Council unanimous voting. Okay, then you explain why is this a weakness, because the Council has their own self-interest. And where does this self-interest come from? It comes from their experiences in World War I. So most of them are more wanting to rebuild rather than be involved in other people's affairs. So hence, it's difficult to obtain the ununanimous voting from the council. Okay, so this led to some failures. Then your job is to write what is the failure. What is the failure? So you choose one between Japan and Italy. Choose one, and then you just say example is in Italy when they invaded Abyssinia. They failed because the sanctions failed. The military sanctions failed. Okay, because they are weak, they couldn't agree, They couldn't pass the sanctions because they need 2/3 majority and unanimous voting. Hence, they couldn't pass the sanctions. Hence, Italy was free to invade Abyssinia. And what happened after that? When Italy couldn't agree or was unhappy with the League, Italy just left. So left the League, and when you left the League, you're not bound by the rules of the League. Okay? So this is the flow. Okay, clear so far. I think this is quite basic. Yeah. So once they resign, what does it happen? What happens to the League? The League will then be seen as weak. So people will not trust the League, and finally they won't cooperate. Cooperation will be low. Okay, when your cooperation is low, then you cannot succeed in future plans. Thus, failure. Thus, structural weakness led to the League. Okay, so actually it's quite simple, right? Do you agree that it's quite simple? These 3 reasons why the League failed. Yes. I do one more reason, then we move on to the other topic. Yes, so the other simple reason is limited membership. Why limited membership? You must tell me who are not inside the League, which is US. Why is US important? Because US has the biggest military, political and economic strength. So you cannot harness the military, political, and economic strength of the US since they are not inside the League. And why are they not inside? Because their policy very important, non-interventionist and isolationism, which means not being involved in the affairs of other nations. Okay, then you write who else is not inside. Oh yes, Eugene. Yes, here you need to write the secretary also. Secretariat, thank you, was understaffed and disorganized. Thank you, Eugene. Yes, so once you write this, you then put in the other 2 big nations who are not inside. Russia, because Russia is a communist, and Germany, because Germany are the losers. So what's the impact of Russia and Germany not being inside? Simple. They won't be bound by the League, so they're free to do whatever they want. Okay, you cannot control these 2 countries. As a result, the League will lead to failures, right, without the military strength. So again, choose one, Italy or Japan, and then write the exact same thing. Right? They couldn't carry out the sanctions because they couldn't carry out the sanctions. Yeah, because they couldn't agree. Right? They didn't have the military might to carry it out. And hence, again, same thing. People will not trust the League. The reputation drop and failure, leading to future failures. So cause and effect, everything is cause and effect. Remember the examples of Italy or Japan, and leading to people will not trust, reputation drop, and hence the League is seen as a failure. Yes, I think it's quite simple. Simple. So let's move on to the next topic. Then we move to political cartoons. So League of Nations, Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles. Okay. if you see a 12-mark question that asks you about the Treaty of Versailles, you must give both sides, and you must always start with the side that the question asks you. Okay, so in terms of, is the treaty justified? Justified. It's a bit small. Is the treaty justified? So yes, because damages from France and Britain in World War I. Okay, so you must write down what are the losses of France and Britain in World War I if you say it's justified. Hence the terms. Hence you must give Germany the terms to make them weak. So this one most likely focus on the military terms, the reparations, and the territorial reductions. Okay? Yes, so write these two things. After that, then you go on to what is the objective when you are giving them the terms. Terms of military, terms of reparations, terms of reductions. What is your objective? Right? Your objective is to ensure that there is peace. How can you ensure peace? By making sure that Germany will not be able to rise again and start another war. So in this case, your treaty is thus justified. Okay. Second thing is because Germany wanted to, in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, I forgot to spell Litovsk something, they wanted to issue more heavier punishment if they were to win World War I, but unfortunately they didn't, and so this treaty wasn't carried out. But the fact that it was drafted shows that in terms of the TOV, it is actually quite fair, in that the punishment was much lesser than what Germany intended in the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Britain didn't lose much, but Britain did lose something as well, but the majority is for France, for France to get their retribution, to get their avengement. Okay, so if you say it's justified, not justified, very simple, because Germany was to accept total blame, and this is falling under the war guilt clause. Okay, why is this war guilt clause unfair? Yes, to get the upper hand is for France to recover the losses from World War I, which is a lot. Anything? If nothing, I just continue. So it's not fair because Germany have to accept total blame in signing the war guilt clause, and the war guilt clause gave them the basis for all the other terms like the reparations, the territorial reductions, the military limitations. Now, why is this war guilt clause unfair? Because number one, Germany was not even invited to the peace talks. Okay? Number two, Germany felt betrayed by the Weimar politicians who went in and signed the treaty. Okay? because Germany was expecting a truce rather than a defeat. But in terms of the treaty, it sounded like a defeat. So they actually didn't want to sign it, but they were betrayed by the Weimar people who actually signed it. And of course, they were not invited. When you're not invited, that is when the clauses can really go against you. Okay? So they accept total blame, which led to all these things, which is unfair. So now you type, why is it unfair? Because Germany is not the only country that started the war. It was also Serbia, Austria, Hungary, and so on and so forth. So why is it that only Germany deserves to be punished, and punished so heavily at that? Okay, so in this sense it is unfair. I mean, it's not unfair, it's unjustified. Yes, France lost more than Germany, but Germany did not lose that much less. Germany also lost a lot, but the fact that they are the losers means that they must contribute the most. Yes, that's the fact of life. So the unfairness comes from the fact that they have to accept total blame as the main aggressors, signing the war guilt clause when in fact they were not invited to the peace talks. They were betrayed by the Weimar politicians and had no basis for the signing of all the other terms, which greatly reduced Germany's power and Germany's economic strength. Okay? Because it's not fair, because Germany is not the only country that started the war. It was Serbia, Austria, Hungary, and Britain and France. All these people also participated in this war. So it's not fair to just blame Germany alone. Okay? You can also write it's not fair because Germany was already suffering from economic devastation. Okay, it's not fair because the treaty does not account for Germany's ability to pay reparations. Okay, then you write the terms of the reparations. Okay, blah blah blah. 269 billion Reichsmark reparations. And what's the impact of these reparations? Right, so for the people, you have unemployment, you have poverty, you have starvation, right? For the businesses, you have failed businesses, failing businesses, and failing economy. Okay, that was already suffering from the impact of World War I, in which 15% of male population already passed on. Okay, so their economy was already devastated and they couldn't repay the reparations, but the League didn't take into account how the ability of Germany to pay. Okay, and instead the League asked Germany to pay a huge sum of money, which is 269 billion Reichsmark, and thus this caused a lot of unemployment, poverty, starvation, unhappiness, failing businesses, and failing economy, which was already suffering from the impact of World War I, to which 15% of the male population already passed on. They could not recover. They didn't have the military capabilities, the economic capabilities to recover. But yet, France still demands such heavy reparations, in which when Germany could not pay, France took over more land, more resource-rich lands from Germany, causing more unhappiness. And where is this place? It's called the Ruhr. It's the Ruhr industrial region. Yes, disarmament can also be one point. Okay, I leave it up to you. Actually, all can be put under total blame, but if you separate it, is fine as well. If you separate total blame from economic devastation, from ability to defend itself. Okay, you can either separate it or put it all together, as long as it's written down that Germany could not pay. Okay, and the other point, Germany could not defend itself, much less attack other nations. Okay, then you talk about the military, the limitations and the loss of land. Okay, you must talk about limitations and loss of territories, because the territories are the buffer zone. You need a buffer zone in order to defend your own country. Okay, so what are the buffer zones that are lost? Right, Alsace-Lorraine, the Polish corridor, and the Sarko regions. Okay, and also your colonies in Asia and Africa. All these were lost, greatly reducing the military power of Germany. Yes, of Germany. Okay, so that is for the essay. Yes, that's for the essay. So yes, 8 of you. Hello, 8 of you. Who are the 8 of you? Can I ask who are the 8 of you who are still here? Seven of you now. Okay, last one. I'm gonna just go through our political cartoons very fast, and then after that we're done. Okay, you can go and sleep. For political cartoons, you have to look at the question very carefully. Okay, why not I just go through the one that some of you did and some of you didn't do, for reasons I shall not say. For example, this cartoon, okay, ignore the words at the bottom here. Let's say they say this is produced by Punch magazine about conflicts in the League of Nations. What is your opinion of the League of Nations? Okay, main subject is League of Nations. Okay, please be clear that, oh shucks, that this is the subject, the League of Nations. So your inference is about this League of Nations itself and the opinion of it. So you must look at the picture as a whole. Find out who are the characters. You have the council here, and you have the assembly members here. The assembly members are fighting one another over the food that they get, and I believe this food represents the territories. So look at the characters inside, look at their relationship, look at their expressions, look at if there are any exaggeration, look at what they represent, look at what the food represents, which is the territories. So in this case, they are arguing over the territories, and they are looking to the league leaders, which is the council members, or whether the council members can allocate their interests correctly, their interest in their territories correctly. Okay, but unfortunately the league looks very smirk. Look at her expression. She does not care about what each of these members are looking for. Okay, so which weakness does this relate to? That is the main question. Okay. Which weakness does this relate to? In a sense that the leaders are looking very smirk and looking like they do not care about the people under their charge. Like if let's say this is the mother, right? The mother does not care under the people under her charge. So in terms of your knowledge of the weakness of the LON, okay, which reason can you use to explain this picture? Your knowledge of the 3 reasons why the LN failed. Okay, I would say that the one I would use is either structural weaknesses, right? Because people have their own agenda, the council had their own agenda, and they couldn't vote for what the other members wanted to achieve. Either that, or you can talk about the other one, which is post-war attitudes, is that these council were more interested in their own self-interest. Hence, once they allocated the territories, they did not care about any request or appeal that members may have. Okay, so you must use this when you answer. So basic inference, what is the opinion of the League of Nations? The whole theme of this chapter is on the failure of the League of Nations. So just answer according to the main theme, which is the cartoonist. Okay, follow the question. So it's the cartoonist opinion is that the League of Nations is ineffective. Okay, that will be your main answer. Main inference, ineffective. How do you know ineffective? Because the straw shows. This part you just write exactly. Okay, this part you need to write exactly. Just write exactly what you see inside the picture. Okay, so I see, what do you see? I see a mother. I see a mother, right, giving away to 2 children. Both children look unhappy at the portion given to them, but the mother doesn't care. Look like she cares. In the explanation, then you break it down in terms of the symbolism that is being represented. So the mother representing the council, okay, did not grant the appeals of the members, of the needs of the members or the General Assembly represented by the children. Okay, the council did not grant the appeals of the needs of the members represented by the children. From my historical context, why did they not appeal? Because, right, of the post-war attitudes of the council members, right, in which, from my contextual knowledge, I know that they were more concerned with their own self-interest, okay, especially as they needed to recover from World War I and were not interested in the affairs of other countries. Hence, they were not totally committed to the League of Nations and its objectives. Okay? Thus, the continuous opinion is that the League of Nations was weak. Okay? So from my historical context, I put in one part of the knowledge that I know that relates to this picture, which is the post-war attitudes, that they didn't care about the needs of other nations because they were more concerned about recovery from World War I. Hence, the opinion is that the league is ineffective, is weak, it can't carry out the needs or desires of other nations who have joined the league for the whole purpose of wanting to have their needs met by a world governing body. Okay, so I think I will stop here. Who don't understand? Any question? No question, right? So tomorrow the picture will be much easier than this. You just need to describe the picture well, infer well, explain well, and then find the contextual knowledge, the reason that relates to the picture. Okay, the reason for the weakness that relates to the picture. So look out for it. Okay. Let's end with a song. No more BTS. Let's end with a nice song. Not this. Let's end with some Star Wars theme. Last Jedi. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this episode of your historical revision. I hope that you have learned something. I hope that this has been useful, and I hope that tomorrow I can achieve 100% passes. Nobody is to fail, nobody is to write any blanks, and you can do well in order to take your first step towards getting that A in your O levels in 2 years time, because these 2 years is going to pass by very, very, very fast. Good night. Okay? Good night, good night, good night.